Ethan sat at his desk, staring at the pile of unfinished projects and goals he had once promised himself to achieve. "I'll start tomorrow," he muttered to himself as he had so many times before. But deep down he knew tomorrow would never come. It never did. He had all the potential in the world, dreams that reached the sky, yet each day he found a new excuse. "It's not the right time. I don't have enough experience," or "I'm not ready yet." They were easy to say, comfortable to believe, but they never brought him any closer to where he wanted to be. Every excuse, while offering a brief sense of relief, only left him feeling more trapped. Ethan's fear of failure had built a cage around him, and the more he held back, the harder it became to break free. His procrastination wasn't just a bad habit. It was a barrier between him and the life he could have. Each day, he buried his true potential under another reason to wait. As he lay in bed at night, the weight of those excuses grew heavier, and he realized regret was starting to creep in. Ethan was sitting at his favorite cafe, scrolling through his phone when the email notification popped up. It was from the company he had always dreamed of working for, an opportunity he had passed up months ago, thinking he wasn't ready. He hesitated at first, then opened it. His heart sank as he read the subject line, "Position filled." The email was polite but firm, informing him that the job he had wanted so badly was now gone, given to someone else. The regret hit him like a wave, crashing over all the excuses he had used to justify his inaction. He'd been afraid to step out of his comfort zone, and now that opportunity was gone forever. That night, Ethan wandered the streets, his mind racing. It was then that he met Frank, an older man who had once been in a similar position. Frank looked at him with a mix of compassion and blunt honesty. "You can keep waiting for the perfect moment, Ethan, or you can start making those moments yourself," Frank said. "No one's going to hand you success. It's up to you to build it." In those few words, Ethan felt the weight of his excuses finally lift. For the first time, he realized that his future wasn't a matter of luck or timing. It was in his hands. The next morning, Ethan woke up early, determined to make a change. For the first time, he didn't hit the snooze button or convince himself to stay in bed for a few extra hours. He got up, made his bed, and sat down with a notebook. He wrote down his goals, not vague dreams, but specific actions he needed to take. Apply to 5 companies this week. Start working on my portfolio. Read 1 chapter of a self-improvement book every day. His plan was simple, but clear. The first few days were challenging. His old habits tugged at him, tempting him to retreat to the comfort of inaction. There were moments when he doubted himself, when he felt like he wasn't making any progress. But instead of giving in, he reminded himself that change wasn't instant. He focused on the small wins, finishing a task, applying for a job, reading a chapter, and celebrated them. Slowly, he began to notice a shift. The weight of excuses lifted, and with each passing day, his confidence grew. The cycle of procrastination wasn't broken overnight, but Ethan knew now that persistence, no matter how small the steps, would lead him to the future he wanted. As Ethan's efforts began to show results, a new challenge emerged: fear. With each small success, the stakes grew higher, and the doubts crept in. What if he wasn't good enough? What if he failed again? The fear of rejection, of being judged, of not measuring up began to cloud his mind, especially when he received an interview invitation for a position he truly wanted. His confidence faltered, and for a moment, he considered backing out, convincing himself that he wasn't prepared enough, that he didn't deserve the opportunity. But then, Ethan remembered Frank's words: "Fear is natural, but it shouldn't control you." He paused, took a deep breath, and reframed his thinking. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, he decided to focus on what he had already accomplished. He had come so far, and one fear wouldn't hold him back. Ethan decided to embrace the fear, to see it as a signal that he was growing. With renewed courage, he stepped into the interview room, his heart pounding but his mind clear. Fear still lingered, but it no longer dictated his actions. It was simply a companion on the path to success. Ethan stood at the window of his new apartment, looking out over the city. It had been a year since he had made the decision to stop making excuses. He had applied to countless jobs, built a portfolio that reflected his true potential, and faced every challenge with the resilience he had cultivated. The promotion he had worked so hard for was now his, but more than the achievement, it was the realization that he had finally taken full control of his life that filled him with pride. He wasn't waiting for life to hand him opportunities anymore. He was creating them. His success wasn't the result of luck or timing. It was the result of his consistent effort and the shift in his mindset. Ethan understood now that he was the architect of his own future. No one else could build it for him. Looking back, he saw how far he had come. He had conquered his doubts, faced his fears, and learned that with hard work, anything was possible. With a smile, he turned away from the window and took a deep breath. The journey wasn't over, but he knew now that he was capable of anything. He was in charge of his destiny, and nothing could stop him. Ethan encouraged anyone listening to do the same. Take charge, let go of excuses, and start building the future you deserve. The power was always in your hands.